If you're applying for disability, your regular doctor can be a big help. Unfortunately, when I see notes from people's doctors, they usually aren't much of a help. In this video, I'm going to explain why that is and how to best enlist the help of your regular doctor to give you the best chance of your disability application being approved. Hello, I'm John Foster. I'm a medical doctor who does Social Security disability exams. I've been doing them since 2017, and as usual, everything I say reflects my own opinions based on my own experience and study, and not the opinions of the Social Security Administration or any other medical body. Now, to begin, you need to know how the typical primary care doctor is oriented, and whether they're in the hospital, emergency room, or clinic, doctors tend to focus on two things. First, what is the diagnosis? What's causing the patient's problem? And second, what is the treatment? What can be done to help the patient get better? For example, if seeing a patient with low back pain, the doctor is going to consider a muscle or ligament sprain, arthritis in the spine, problems with the discs in the spine, or more serious problems such as a spinal fracture or an infection or cancer in the spine. And that's very important because the treatment for these conditions can vary tremendously. Obviously, the treatment for an infection of the spine is quite different from the treatment of a sprain of a spinal muscle. When I began doing consultative examinations for Social Security in 2017, I had to reorient myself towards disability exams. In a disability exam, the most important thing is, does the patient have work-related limitations? What can they do? What can't they do? And what can they do with difficulty, and with how much difficulty when it comes to work-related abilities? In the normal state of affairs, primary care doctors don't even consider that. Most doctors' letters I see that patients submit in hopes of helping their disability application say something like, Mr. Smith is disabled because he has the diagnosis of condition X. Note, there is no mention of work-related abilities or limitations, just the diagnosis. And if you've watched any of my videos, I emphasize over and over and over again that your diagnosis is not the important thing for disability. Yes, Social Security does want to know your diagnosis, but it's secondary to your work-related limitations. If a person has severe difficulty walking, for example, it's not that important to Social Security whether that difficulty is due to arthritis in the knees or due to a stroke which has caused one of the legs to be numb and paralyzed. The important thing is that they have difficulty walking and how severe that difficulty is. The second thing when it comes to such a doctor's note is that your doctor saying you're disabled really doesn't help, because when it comes to Social Security, they consider that they are the people who make the determination whether or not you're disabled, not your private doctor and not your company doctor either. So your company doctor saying that you can't return to work or your private doctor saying you are disabled really won't help. So the next thing is that it's rare that primary care doctors have much experience with disability exams and reports. I've coached quite a few doctors who are beginning to do disability exams, and the two things they have the most difficulty with are, number one, figuring out how to do a comprehensive exam in the time allotted, and number two, learning to focus on work-related abilities and limitations rather than the diagnosis and treatment. And here I want to add that Social Security really doesn't care about what the treatment of your condition is. That's not a big factor. Again, they care about your work-related limitations. So, how can you get your primary doctor to help your disability application? Well, to do so, you need to reorient them towards your work-related limitations. And this should be possible. After all, no doctor knows you as well as your regular or private doctor. And there are two ways you can go about doing this. The first I'm going to suggest is that you fill out a government form called Physical Residual Functional Capacity Assessment, or Form OMB 0960-0431. I'll leave a link to it in the description of this video below. And here is the form. This is actually a form used internally by Social Security when they're determining whether a person is disabled or not. And it goes into a lot of detail about work-related abilities. For example, question number 1 is, can a person lift or carry less than 10 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 50 pounds, or 100 pounds or more? And there's check marks for the doctor to check off what you are able to lift and carry. And here I have to say that if you don't know how much you can lift and carry, please find out before you ask your doctor to complete this form. The form is 6 pages long, but most of it is just ticking off boxes, so it doesn't take forever to complete. And that brings me to another point. Your doctor is not required to fill out this form. There are certain types of paperwork that doctors have to fill out. This is not one of them. You're asking the doctor to do a favor for you. Because of that, you need to approach it properly. Do not take this form, toss it on your doctor's desk, and say you need to fill this out. Number 1, they don't need to fill it out. There's no requirement. And number 2, doctors hate paperwork. I'm in my 47th year practicing medicine, and let me tell you, I have never ever met a doctor who enjoyed doing more paperwork or said, gee, the only thing bad about this job is I don't get enough paperwork. Doctors hate paperwork. So you need to ask nicely. And my suggestion is, because doctors like helping their patients, tell your doctor that it would really help you if they would fill out this form. Now, 2 more things. A doctor can charge you a reasonable fee for filling out the form. After all, it is work. If they fill it out without charging a fee, consider yourself lucky. And second, do not, and I repeat, do not ask your doctor to lie or exaggerate when filling out the form. There's a term for that, and it's called health care fraud, and it's a crime and can end your doctor's career. And if you ask your doctor to lie, if the doctor has half a brain, they'll throw you out of their office. Just ask them to fill it out as best they can. Now, the second thing that you could do to get your doctor to help your application is to look up your condition under Social Security's listing of impairments. I'll include a link to the listing in the description of this video. Social Security has a listing of impairments for just about every possible condition that can make an adult disabled. And in the listings, they list their criteria for determining disability. You can print out the listing for your condition and then ask your doctor to use it as a guide. For example, for people who have low back problems, it's very important to Social Security whether they have what's called evidence of nerve root compression. Is there evidence of pinched nerves coming from the back? That's included in the listing. So if your doctor has found evidence of nerve root compression, they can put that in their note to Social Security. Now your doctor is speaking Social Security's language. That will be very helpful to the people in the Social Security Administration who are reviewing your records and trying to determine if they meet the criteria for disability or not. Now, what if you've already applied for disability but you haven't yet got a final decision and you're thinking it would have been helpful if you'd gotten a note from your regular doctor? Well, this is important as well. You can send one in at any time before a final decision is made in your case. And if you have been denied but you are appealing, you can send in any sort of medical record or note from your doctor up to and until all your appeals have been exhausted. So again, your primary care doctor can be a great help in your disability application, but you must explain to them that what is important are your work-related abilities and limitations, and what is not important is your treatment, and what is only secondarily important is your diagnosis. Well, I hope this has been helpful, and as always, remember, if it happens, it's possible.